The release of Mel Gibson's historical epic, The Patriot, raised hackles on both sides of the Atlantic, critics for and against. And I must say, as a historian, I was asked by the BBC in July of 2000 to comment on The Patriot. And I was asked the specific question, Professor, if The Patriot was the only history of the American Revolution that your students had before they came to your class, how could you possibly teach it? And I said, actually, I think The Patriot would be an excellent teaching tool. There are some things in the movie that are not accurate, they're Hollywood. But in general, the movie gets two things right, two overarching themes about the American Revolution. The first is, why did people fight? And that's dealt with in the movie, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. The other is the fact that the American Revolution, particularly in the backcountry of the Carolinas, was a bloody, nasty civil war. And so with that introduction, let's talk about what was right and what was wrong with The Patriot. Some of the historical facts to begin with are absolutely right. The size of troops, uniforms, the utensils, sort of the scenery is correct. Some compromises were made from the very beginning. Bannister Tarleton's British Legion, which were provincial regulars, they were Americans primarily from Pennsylvania and New York, but they were recruited into the British Army. They usually wore green coats. In the movie, they're mostly red, and supposedly, because Hollywood didn't think American moviegoers were smart enough to understand that the enemy wore green coats. They should wear red coats. After all, I mean, they're British, they should be wearing red coats. And in the very final scene, Mel Gibson is waving a Betsy Ross flag as he dashes across the battlefield of what may be Cowpens or Guilford Courthouse. It's a little bit hard to tell which it is. That's pretty doubtful. There are persons of color in the movie, and they're both free and slave. There's no facial scarring. There's no scarring period, whether it's from tribal scarring or from the brutality of slavery. And there is a maroon community where the Patriots flee for safety, and it's on the coast. There were maroon communities, and maroon communities were settlements of runaway slaves. They did exist in the Carolinas, but they were in the backcountry, in the swamps and the hills. They were not on the beach. So that was what was sort of compromised historically from the beginning